Speedway Tavern.
Slick colour for England on the outside. And from the inside it is Bobby Schwartz, and Nilsson has got up as well, and that's a surprise, and Morton must try the outside run. So it is Sweden in front, then Schwartz. Third place now is Olsen, and it's Chris Morton at the back, and again this isn't good news as Schwartz goes bursting in the inside of Nilsson. So now America again, really, the statesiders are in the most mean mood. They lead, second place Nilsson, that's a surprise. Third place is Olsen with Morton trying all kinds of tricks to go around the outside. And Olsen is being slowed up by Nilsson, and here comes Chris Morton for England. He's gone round one, he's gone round the other one, and that really was Morton at his gritty best. Well, Chris Morton's come from last, and can he get past Bobby Schwartz? And he's having a rare go, and he's done it quite beautifully. And there is a perfect example that even if you're last, you can still win Speedway races. Chris Morton has lifted England sky high. Jessup will be looking for that start again. He seems to have just momentarily perhaps lost his magic touch over the track. From the outside is Olsen, Jessup's been left. Leading it is Moran, second place, although Olsen I think will just about move in front. Olsen and Moran together, Jessup's in third place. So the Danes maintain this magic run at the moment. Real golden stuff from the Danes.
Welcome to what's probably the last Speedway Tavern of 2020. And oh God, am I glad to say that. Finally, the last something of 2020.
You don't mean that.
I think you all know where I'm coming from on that one. Have we got a show for you tonight? Well, probably not.
No.
We have nothing prepared for tonight. So we want to hand it over to you guys. Perhaps tell us about what you want to see in Speedway next year, because it's almost got a fresh slate, haven't we? So, give us your thoughts on things that you'd like to see for next year. Obviously, we'll talk about the Speedway of Nations. Oh dear! And congratulations to Jason Doyle, 3 times winner of the Peter Craven testimonial. That's not a bad achievement at all.
No. It looks like Matt's got his camera on mute, so if you can just adjust that. He's back. Yeah, there we go.
I actually take you to spot that. So.
I actually preferred it the other way, but that's all right. Chris has got a few new tricks tonight, so you might be hearing a little bit of this or a little bit of this. Let's hope not.
Nah.
Let's hope not. So so give us your thoughts. Matt, Speedway Nations, you didn't watch it?
Doesn't sound like I missed much either.
No.
People have told me. I think the writing was on the wall really from the moment the first match was rained off. I've seen photographs of the track and it was pretty.
It was horrible.
Yes, it pretty resembled a lake, but. It's difficult really. I mean, they've over the last sort of 20 years, they've improved a lot of things with regards to track preparation, but there's some instances I think where Mother Nature will win in the end, and that was one of them, unfortunately. So I wonder whether it was maybe a case of just running the meeting for the sake of it, to be honest, because I
think it was, and I don't think under any other circumstances the meeting would have gone on if it had been any other year, if you hadn't got the whole COVID thing. And I don't think it would have gone. I mean, the thing that stands out in my mind was that one of the tape exclusions that poor old Robert Lambert got, he was at the starting gate and he was literally in a pit. The track had just worn away so much. He was literally in a pit. The engine of his bike was lower than the track. I kid you not. So I think that says it all, doesn't it? You can't really.
Quite reminiscent of was it 77, the World Final in Gothenburg, when it was running torrential rain?
I think it was probably worse, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I don't think under any other circumstances it would have gone on. I mean, I think you got to say that the right team won. Bartek Smarslik showed himself to be the true class rider that he is, and Dan Bewley gave us something to cheer about for 2 laps or so when he was dicing it with Bartek Smarslik. Have you seen that race?
No, I haven't.
You need to check it out. It was it's quite. I mean, he lost out in the end, but not many people go past Bartek Smarslik. Well, he didn't do that bit, unfortunately, but yeah. So, but yeah, I was hoping that I wasn't in any way expecting us to win, given the team we was putting out, but I was hoping to talk about something a bit more gutsy and spirited than tape exclusions, which is really what happened. So.
As a nation, I think we've made a lot of progress in the last few years, but I think that was, and to be fair, last year's Speedway Nations as well was really a bit of a wake-up call, I suppose, to say that we've got a long way to go yet before we can.
Yeah, because once Ty's not in the picture, it's like, oh, what do we do now?
Well, this is the thing, and it was still. I mean, we got second in the World Cup in 2016. A lot of that, I think Ty got pretty much all but about 6 points of what we got, and
I think the situation's a bit better than that now, because we've got. I mean, Robert Lambert's true potential, hasn't he? He's proper world class. You've got to say, I mean, the way he won the European Championship this year was quite respectable.
Dan Bewley as well. He's come back. It took him a bit of a time to come back after that smash that he had a couple of years ago, but he's starting to show signs now that he's maybe got over that and looking back to getting where you think back to the impression that he made when he first burst onto the scene in the National League for the Bellevue Colts, and he's really kicked on from there.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a few people that have done that, haven't there? That have started like a house on fire in the National League. And you think of Jack Parkinson, Blackburn. You think of exactly, Zach Weissneck. It doesn't always come to fruition. It doesn't always carry on. But Dan Bewley seems to be the real thing. Liam Flint seems to be in a perhaps slower way, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. His improvement seems to be constant year on year on. So perhaps we'll be talking about him in a couple of years as well.
I certainly hope so. I mean, obviously he's still well remembered for his season at Birmingham. Got a great reception when he came back to Perry Bar last season in that Berwick meeting. And we've both spoken to Leon. He's a great lad as well. So
yeah, it would be.
Matt, are you in the library?
Yes, I am actually. So
and Mike, you're obviously in the drawing room.
The drawing room. There's no pictures in here. I can't see any crayons or anything.
I thought that's what you posh people called it. You
see. And what are you in the poster room?
I'm in the little boys' room.
In the little boys' room, okay. We only have a big boys' room here.
Dunk says Matt still looks like he's sulking after Leeds visited the Midlands recently.
I don't.
Bit of a wake-up call, I think that one was, but we won't dwell on it. So.
Nah.
No, Chris might.
Yeah. Hang on.
Yeah, we'll talk about the 7-2.
This is a great Speedway program.
Right. Craig says it'd be interesting to see the viewing figures and if the clubs make a profit after they take out the expenditure to run a stream. I think that's talking about the British final.
Yeah. It will be interesting. I mean, I've seen no reports of any figures anywhere, but I hope it did well. because it might be the thing that allows us to start next year. If it
And how much was it to?
it was £12, wasn't it? I think, which I didn't think was
That's
unreasonable.
not bad, is it? Really, that's not bad.
So would have been cheaper than going there.
Mm.
You can't take the petrol and everything, and I was dry and warm. So
Yeah, there's still nothing like being there at any
Oh,
sporting
God.
event. Is
Oh
there?
no, you can't.
no,
beat that.
absolutely no.
No.
But if it's something that can possibly use to enable us to start in April, if there's still restrictions going on there, it's just, I think it's, it might be, it might not, we don't know yet. It would be useful. I think there's got to be an appetite to get back and watch some Speedway, hasn't there? People must be.
Yeah.
I know I am. I'm desperate to watch some Speedway. Desperate to watch Speedway, and I'm desperate to go and watch some live bands as well.
Yeah. I'm desperate to watch any sort of sport, anything actually. Underwater dominoes will do.
Yeah, but you must know that. But anyway, because you're a Birmingham City supporter,
Exactly.
be used to that.
Exactly. And it's the old joke, isn't it? Hate football, so I watch Birmingham City.
Birmingham City, yeah.
Evening Taverners, give us a smile, Matt. Soon be Christmas, said Jim.
Okay.
That's the closest you're going to get to a smile, I'm afraid.
You might need to have a sit down after that.
£12.95 it was, or if you bought it early, it was £10, which that isn't too bad, is it really?
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Have you heard the news about Newcastle going into liquidation? Apparently, it's an old HMRC. Before the current CEO came on board in 2019. The expectation is that the company will be wound up with a view to set up a new company, a bit like Bellevue Speedway did, and still run next season. That's all we said. Isn't it?
Okay.
That's all we said.
Well, it is, but if I haven't read that. I've just been looking at the Speedway news. Well, there was nothing on there, but it sounds like it's still a way back for Newcastle. So fingers crossed. I mean, we're all up in air. Nobody really knows who's coming back next year, because I don't know. I've got absolutely no idea how this has hit people financially.
Yeah.
And I think it really depends. I mean, most Speedway promoters, if not probably all of them, it's like their second or third business, isn't it? The Speedway. So,
well, I know that I know Chris Van Strand has made quite a big investment last winter in regards to new equipment and things like that for the 2020 season. So that's obviously been sitting there gathering dust.
Yeah, but that must be the same for practically every Speedway club. They must have all made massive expenditure.
It's unprecedented circumstances, isn't it? At the end of the day, I mean, this is the first year since 1990 that I've watched a live Speedo meeting. So, that's the sobering reality of it.
Yeah, I think we desperately need it to come back next year for all manner of reasons. Mm-hmm. But do you agree with me, Matt, that in a way they've got a bit of a blank slate in coming back next year, that they can make changes?
I think we said this earlier in the lockdown, didn't we? That there was an opportunity here if they, maybe to, if you like, press a reset button. It would have been fantastic if Speedo managed to get back, before other sports, because then it would have had carte blanche of all the of coverage, and a real
absolutely
go out there and get new people onto the terraces, particularly the younger ones. I mean, Birmingham have done really well, I think, in the last couple of years, getting newer, younger fans through the gates with the halftime entertainment and things like that. That's it's an opportunity if they can, if they utilise it well enough, and I think at the end of the day there's got to be some joined up thinking as well, haven't they? Because that's been the problem over the years, is that some clubs have had other ideas, other clubs have had other ideas, and it's just sort of it's all about putting the puzzle together, and quite often, unfortunately, that doesn't happen.
No, well, because everybody has slightly different priorities for their business, and I mean, we've said it. I mean, it's been said ad infinitum. Speedway needs a Suprema.
Yeah,
we need a Bernie Eccleston. We need, I got so that once the rules are laid down, it's not given to people with a vested interest to govern that. It needs to be somebody almost outside of the sport.
I think Bernie Eccleston famously say that Speedway was perfect for television.
He did, yes.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Oh, did he actually say that then?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
He absolutely said that. He says perfect because I mean he's right, because all the action's there out in front of you.
Mm.
If you get one bad race, then you've got another one following in a few seconds. So
That's good.
But it is and it isn't though, because I mean this is my opinion. Until they sort out the stoppage time, it sort of isn't.
Yeah.
It needs to be bang, bang, bang.
I think a few clubs have done better at that in the last few years. Although it's still, I mean, I've been to Cardiff where the riders from the race that I've not finished all 3 laps yet, and already you can see the 4 riders from the next race getting ready to be pushed off. So it's just bang, track grade, bang, 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 track grade. So it's about because if you have downtime and you're just standing there twiddling your thumbs for ages, it's not gonna entice you to want to go back, especially when it's on crazy cold night in March.
Yeah, I mean it's okay for people like you and me who come from are used to a slower pace, who come from an era in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s when things were slower. But everything's so bang, 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 bang now at the moment. You watch. I mean, I forever watch my lads, and they'll be playing something on the computer, looking at the phone, and talking to somebody at the same time.
Yeah,
and they have to have every second of every minute filled.
Yeah,
so
and
those
multitasking as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, they're unbelievable.
Yeah.
So that's what you have to compete with.
Okay, so we weren't going to talk about it. We did talk about this off air, but it has been brought up a few times on the joke box. Thoughts on Jason Garrity? What do you make about the Jason Garrity news? Jail for 7 years, probably do 3 with good behaviour. Was he due to ride with Birmingham this year? I always thought he was a decent talent.
All I've got to say really on the Jason Garrity situation is I don't want to give him too much publicity. I don't particularly want to mention his name, and he's got what he deserves.
Yeah,
probably should have got more. Yes, he was due to ride for Birmingham this year, but he hasn't ridden for Birmingham, and I don't imagine he would have done if the Speedway season had gone on. As far as I'm concerned, that has got absolutely nothing to do with Birmingham Speedway, and he can just go forth and multiply.
Yeah, well said. But as somebody else said, he was a massive waste of talent.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Okay. Let's move on, shall we?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah, please do.
Right. What should we move on to? Is there going to be any Speedway next season?
I think my sense of things is that there will be Speedway next year. I'm not entirely convinced that it'll start in March or April, but I think there will be Speedway. What do you think?
I think these next couple of months are probably going to be key to whether there's likely to be any chance of the season starting on time. As to how we can sort of deal with this second wave, which seems to be more scary than the first one.
Do you think it's going to be some sort of league structure or like some sort of cup competition next season?
I think it'll depend entirely on when we start.
When it started, yeah.
And who comes to the table as well,
Yeah.
Hopefully a league structure, hopefully something meaningful.
Yeah.
And hopefully, I just think this is a great opportunity to have a look at Speedway. They've had a whole year now to have a look at what's wrong. And maybe alter the formula a little bit instead of, not just the tired 15 heats or 13 heats. I mean, I haven't got anything to offer on that, but I just feel that they have an opportunity to rebrand it, even, make it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, publicity.
Attractive.
Yeah, as we were saying earlier, needs a lot of money. Somebody pump a lot of money into it. Give it a good kick up the arse. But can I say arse?
I think you just did.
Oh, yeah, that's right, I did. Yeah.
Well, given your current affliction, you should probably be careful.
Yeah. Alan says, I think we'll be Speedway in March, but the authorities need to embrace the live streaming.
Yeah.
I think they do, and that's another way forward of it's another income for the clubs as well, for people that can't get to meetings. I mean, for instance, I'm a Birmingham Speedway supporter, and so I'm obviously always going to be interested, but I will always go to the matches, although I probably wouldn't travel up to Scotland unless I happen to have the time off work or something. Yeah. So I'd certainly be interested in getting those streamed, and I'm happy to pay for it. It's going to be not cheaper than going up the M1, isn't it? But also I might be interested in watching a particular match that has some bearing, for instance, on where Birmingham might finish in the league at the end of coming towards the end of a season, or has got a meeting that one of our riders is guesting in, or so there are many opportunities. It's not necessarily, each meeting is not necessarily just of interest to the people that are involved in the two clubs that are involved, and you've only got to look no further than the Speedway updates to know that. Populated by loads of people from lots of different clubs, watching all the results coming in, pressing F5 and refreshing ad infinitum. How much nicer to be able to sit down and watch it on a stream. It's something I think I think
it's something to explore, isn't it? Definitely. The technology's there, so
absolutely, it's something that I wouldn't mind. I think that we as a radio station are quite well placed to be able to look at providing stuff like that. But it's certainly something I wouldn't mind looking at. But that's just a little open invitation out there to anybody.
Please,
listener.
Thank you.
I mean, I think it's a great idea, and possibly, I don't know what deal they're getting from BT, but all the talk is it's not a brilliant deal. It's not lots of money. It's something. If it's not that good a deal, then maybe something like this could not necessarily beat it, but equal it. I don't know. At the end of the day, it's another revenue for the clubs. I don't know. Also, I mean, we've got the BT, the Eurosport deal now, isn't it? I keep saying I'm well in the past. I do beg your pardon. I mean, we don't know how they will react to it as well, of course, because they've got the rights to the I think certainly the top league anyway.
That's right.
So that's the other. What we don't know is how they will react.
The BT got another year to run on the Grand Prix. So that's something whether that's something that Eurosport maybe would be interested in taking on afterwards. I mean, they've done it before, of course. But
they seem to be wanting to place themselves as the home of motorsport, don't they?
Yeah, I think the riders. To be fair, I mean, part of me wonders whether that's one of the reasons why the likes of Nicky Pedersen were quite keen to come back, because they know with Eurosport's big push that they make on coverage and motorsport, that there's more exposure and there's better sponsorship opportunities. I mean, it was that's been one of the big disappointments for me, because I think this season was shaping up certainly in the top league to be quite an exciting looking season. With the likes of Nicky and Crumpy and Peter Coleman coming back to the UK and racing again. I was having Sheffield back in the top flight, which is something that I've always been really, really keen to see. I think it could have shaped up to be a good season, and the championship as well. The championship looked really good. So
it did. I think so. On a positive note on that front, it seems Jason Crump's basically nailed his colours to his mast, and he's saying he's going to be back next year.
Well, he's done. I mean, the means that he's done this season, he's done pretty well, hasn't he?
Yeah,
I mean,
he's
never going to be the Jason Crump of old, but he's still more
competitive. And
how old is he again? Remind me. How old is he again?
46.
46. That is a baby.
Yeah.
Just for you.
Compared to me, Mike. Craig says, I think football will set the precedence if Speedway comes back. The sooner crowds are allowed into a football, whether it be reduced capacity, I think then Speedway will be able to run with crowds. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, well, because a reduced capacity crowd in football is probably going to be at 2 or 3 times bigger than a Speedway crowd anyway.
Yeah, but I can see what he's saying. I think as soon as sporting venues start seeing.
I mean, at the moment, we're still riding this second wave, and it's not looking great, is it?
No.
So we need to get over this this second wave, but also let's just all sit and thank God. There's probably some Americans listening to this show. I don't know. There's some do, but thank God we don't live in America.
Yeah.
Who are still. I mean, that they're talking about it being their third wave, but if you look at it, it's still the first wave. Yeah.
There's been no gaps, has there?
No. It's
how many thousands? 200,000, is it?
200,000, yeah.
Crazy.
And then you get Donald Trump. I'm sorry to get political here, but he's saying things like, "Oh, it's over. It's nearly over," and it's going up and up and up.
Yeah.
So
you're talking about his presidency.
Yeah, no. Well, let's not. Yeah, but so I apologise to any American friends that are listening, but God, I'm so glad I'm not there at this moment in time.
Let's go back to the Brummies. Yeah, you like this one. How would you like to see BB back at Birmingham? Who are the names since him that have been left out, that have been out and out Brummies? Good question.
I would love to see Ben Barker back. I mean, he does come with baggage, but none of that ever surfaced as far as I remember when he was riding for Birmingham. I think it was a happy place for him, and I think it was a good fit. But of course, it's a different management structure now, so I don't know how. I have suspicions. I've heard rumours that I don't know that. He's not particularly well liked by certain members of the management team. I don't want to say any more than that because I'm only going on what somebody's told me, and I've no idea whether it's true or not. But that's.
I think
what I've heard.
When Ben Barker was at Birmingham before, I think there was clearly a healthy respect between him and Graham Drury. But obviously Graham's not there now, so whether that would be any bearing on it, we don't know. From
a personal point of view, I'd love to see Ben riding. He rides with his heart on his sleeve, and it's always been that sort of rider that is attractive at Birmingham.
Yeah,
we've always loved that sort of rider.
I think you memories of that engine room pairing that he formed with Danny King.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know what his average is, but it would be a great replacement for the hole that we've got in the team at the moment. Given that we go with the same team next year, which I've heard rumours that's what's going to happen, but we don't really know. So yeah, I'd love to. Short answer is I'd love to have Ben back in the team.
Apparently, I'm a bit faint. Apparently.
Oh dear me!
Oh, can't get that one. That's not working either. Oh, that's the wrong one. Okay.
That was really worth the wait, Chris.
Right. After watching the Polish Extra League, we are a million miles away from the atmosphere class of rider decent tracks, says Simon Corbett.
Yeah, well, we're a million miles away. The amount of money that I got is the truth of it.
Yeah.
However, let's give where it's due. British Speedway has been in the position in the past where it was the premier country in the sport, where it was getting the more money than any other. Yeah. And it got frittered away. It wasn't used. Whereas Poland, from what I can see, seemed to be using it to develop riders. We had that talk with the name. Forgive me, the rider that I sacked. I can't remember his name. Sorry,
Anders Rowe.
Anders Rowe.
Anders
That's
Rowe,
what,
yeah.
no, he was. We had that conversation with him, and he was telling us about all the setup, about the amount of practice time there is, and so on. So that they're plowing the money back in. But then again, we've never been in that position because we borrow our stadium nine times out of 10. So we haven't always got access.
Then you forget his name.
Yes, I'm sorry, Anders. Great kid as well. I know.
Alan says live streaming should have been up and running in July. Yet again, Speedway kicking itself.
I don't understand what he means by that.
Well, he's saying that live streaming should have been up and running and ready in July.
For what?
Cricket.
Is he saying that we should have started without crowds in the stadium?
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. So there was something to watch.
It would have been a hell of a gamble, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, but
one hell of a gamble. So
it's whether the promoters are willing to take it, though, isn't it?
That's my point. It's they're already taking.
It's easy for the likes of me and you to sit there saying get some Speedway on, but it's not our money, is it, sir?
Yeah, it's. And also you got to remember how intensive Speedway is out on the track with the number of track staff and everything there. I'm not entirely sure it would have been allowed to have gone on. I don't know. Would have been great. I'd have loved it because obviously I work at the track. I would have seen live Speedway, but it would have been strange watching it without a crowd.
And Craig Schlein, compact season, shortened season, a bit like the IPL, all live streamed is what I see next year. No crowd. I think I'll go and slip my throat now.
Well, I hope he's wrong. I certainly hope he's wrong.
Yeah.
It's a possible way forward if that's what's needed. I mean, I'm still hearing positive things that a vaccine could be available before April of next year. So fingers crossed on that one.
Yeah, that would be good.
There's certainly enough people trying to make one.
Yeah. Rather long post here from somebody called Brian Booker. I ain't got a clue who he is. The football authorities will inevitably pile the pressure on the government to allow more spectators at their matches. So if this does happen, then the government can hardly refuse the so-called lesser sports the same privilege. I'd hope the 2021 season can start as scheduled in late March or early April, but I'm half expecting this to be delayed until perhaps May. Anything later than May would cause problems, I think, says Mr. Brian Book.
I think if I'm the BSPA...
Can you not get that close? It's very, very scary.
I think if I'm the BSPA, or it's not the BSPA now, is it? Whatever it's called. I'd probably be planning to have a late start. What do you think, Brian? Matt? His name's there in front of me.
Shocker ending I think it's a case of hope for the best but plan for the worst, isn't it? So worst case scenario is that it is going to be a late start to next season. So,
but I also think what Brian said there is true, that football will pile on the pressure.
Yeah,
I have to say it doesn't make any sense to me that you can go into a pub and watch a match, but they won't let you go into a stadium and watch it. Where you can watch out more. That makes no sense to me at all. Yeah,
there's a lot of things about this that don't make any sense to me. Probably best that we don't go there.
Are we all making too much of it? Regarding health issues, which surely should be more important than going to watch any sporting occasion.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think we'd all like that one, wouldn't we?
Yeah, I think that's true. But I think, let's be honest, as a country, by and large, we ain't done bad on that. We're just getting a bit fed up of it now.
Yeah.
At some point, I do believe at some point, you've just got to go, we need to start living a normal life. Otherwise, what's the point? But I don't think we're there yet.
What is the end game? When is it? That's what people want to know. What is the end game? When there'll be no COVID, just a few thousand?
personally, my own personal point of view is that this carries on going on up and down, up and down, up and down until we get a vaccine.
Yeah.
And I think that, I mean, if you look, sorry, I'm going to go into history. And this wasn't supposed to be a program about COVID, but hey ho, if you look at historical data at the pandemic of 1914, the Spanish flu. Well, for a start off, that killed 50 million people, which is more than the First World War and the Second World War put together, but which is quite an astounding. So we're not in that sort of league, thank goodness. They had a first wave, then they had a second wave, and then they had a third wave, and the third wave was the worst of it all. So just that's something to look forward to.
Oh, cheers, Mike. Feel much better now.
But then it went away.
Then he went away,
Yeah. So, it will go away eventually because our bodies do that. That's my opinion, although there's also the AIDS virus, which hasn't gone away, has it? So.
No. Craig Schleiner said that they've had a complete lockdown for 8 months. We had 750 cases a day, and now it's zero. It's a long road for you guys. So what country
where are you?
Yeah.
Which country are you in?
Which country is that? Yeah. And Jeff wants to know: do we know the date for the AGM yet?
No.
We don't do it.
No, they haven't announced it yet.
No.
We talked about this earlier, didn't we?
And what we will say is that although we're fully expecting this to be the last program of 2020, unless something comes up, and so obviously the AGM might be that unless something comes up, so we might do a program on that when the time comes. It's normally in November, isn't it?
Yeah, it's normally the first or second week in November, isn't it? So.
Wendy agrees. Ben Barker is a great fit, only if the promotion agree.
Yeah, well, he has to be a fit with the promotion, doesn't he? And but he's a cracking rider, isn't he? When he's on form, and I think at this level, he's still, at championship level. I think he's still
very good at this level. I think so.
Yeah.
Regarding the AGM, Craig says we probably won't have one this year as they can't go on a jolly anywhere without quarantining.
They haven't been on a jolly anywhere for
years.
It's a very long time since they've.
It's been rugby the last few years, isn't it?
Rugby. So yeah.
One of the Jolly Boys outing, is it? So.
That's what I'd choose.
Yeah. Alan says Anders is no job row.
No job row. I didn't say that, Anders. It's not my fault.
We started it though, so.
I'm never going to I'm going to have a T-shirt with that on it. Anders no job rower.
David James says British tracks are either wet or slick or dry, rutty, bumpy, never consistent.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. There are some good tracks in Peterborough.
Oh yeah,
Wolverhampton's usually pretty well prepared.
Yeah, Wolverhampton's without that. So
I would have said Birmingham once upon a time, but the past couple of years have been difficult for whatever reason. Scunthorpe always does a good track. Somerset always does a good track. Rye House, to be fair to them, always prepare a good track, I think.
Although we did have a reputation for being a bit dusty, shall we say?
Well, that was in the Len Silver era, but that it seems to have changed since then. Yeah, so I mean, I think it was a great comment. I think it was Jason Doyle in one of the Grand Prix, or somebody had said to him how well he was doing through the ruts and stuff, and he says, "Go and race British Speedway, my son." Did you see that?
Yeah, I did say that. Yeah, I have to say, I mean, I think obviously there was a lot of talk last year about the fact that Swindon reshaped their track, but I think the reshaped Swindon was a really good racetrack. It was much better than the old one, which for me was the straights were a bit too long really for it there, and it didn't really make for brilliant racing. I think the old Swindon track, but I think the reshaped one. Obviously,
yes, it's had. I mean, I haven't seen it, but a lot of people have said, it's made a big difference. I think the trouble with British Speedway is the same old trouble: is money.
Absolutely.
They're running these things on a shoestring. So if it's a case of paying a rider or buying new shale, you're going to pay the rider, aren't you? I would hope.
Well, you'd hope, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a difficult one. There needs to be more money in Speedway.
David Jones says British trucks are so inconsistent, and Poland trucks are always great to race on. Somebody's replied with that's what makes Speedway riders.
Well, there is something in that.
I can remember when Matty Zagar was riding for Bellevue when they were still at the dog track, and I think he once said, "I don't mind it being rough as long as it's rough every week, not rough one week, smooth." And
yeah, that's consistent, I suppose.
You don't want to get there if you're a home rider and you get to your home track and not knowing what the track's going to be like, then it's never going to help your confidence, is it? So,
going back to the vaccine, Duncan Pemberton says, "What happens if the vaccine turns out to be methanol?" Love it.
By the way, I think we should say get well soon, Hans Nielsen, shouldn't we?
Yes, we should say come down with the old COVID.
I think it's a mild strain he's got, but obviously he's self-isolating in Poland, so
yeah, get well soon, Hans.
Yeah,
and anybody else that's down there suffering with this.
Craig Schlein is in Australia, Cobber.
New Zealanders seem to be the country that have handled it the best, haven't they? So
yeah, that's right.
They've done quite well. Yeah, they have done quite well.
Well, they're quite spaced out, aren't they?
It's not a big population there,
and it's an island as well. Helps.
Yeah.
It must. Mind you, we're an island.
yeah, but we haven't got as many sheep.
I've got no idea what that's got to do with it.
It doesn't mean nothing, does it? I know. I was trying to think of something really clever and witty. Just didn't come out at all.
The Wales haven't done as good, so I mean, doesn't follow.
Somebody with a fantastic name, Mark Brandon B. Websdale, says, I was in Great Yarmouth on the weekend and they had a stock car meeting on. You had to buy a ticket online, but they said they were near to capacity. You had to wear masks, but there was a lot in there. So there we go. That was in Great Yarmouth.
When was that? That can't have been
this weekend.
Recently.
On the weekend.
That can't be right because it's rule of 6 at the moment. That wouldn't be allowed to happen, would it? Have I got this wrong?
No. Do you want me to read it again?
No.
Okay.
The government don't know the rules, so what chance have we got to?
Well, there is that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's Norfolk.
Perhaps
they're a bit slow, aren't they, up there?
Perhaps that was the capacity 6.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Jeff Daniels says Ben Barker his value always gives 100%. Don't get much chance of watching him in the championship, being an Aces fan. But his performances in British finals at NSS, he has been quality. And he has got to 2 finals.
Yeah, I mean, he's that Danny King and Ben Barker will be stuff of legends for people that watched it as they look back on it.
My club were on the end of them a few times.
Yes,
which
didn't end well for my program board, if I remember right.
Going back to the stock cars. Alan says it's because it's classed as an amateur sport, so it's allowed.
Okay. Yeah, well, that we've had in Speedway, we've had amateur Speedway with limited ticket sales, haven't we? So yeah, okay, that does make sense. Yeah, I mean, if you want to go, but we can't call ourselves an amateur sport when we're paying the riders, can we?
Maybe not pay them.
yeah. Well, good luck getting riders. That's what I've got to say. So, Mr. Pedersen, you said you was going to ride for us. Unfortunately, we're not going to pay you anything.
Yeah, I'll get him a cleaning job. It's got to be some way to do around it.
So, I mean, there has been Speedway this year and live matches that you can watch in the amateur.
Oh, right.
In the amateur league and the amateur racing. So there has been the odd thing like that. So yeah, we have done that.
Wear masks and everything. So
That's good.
We've had an under 21, and
which, to be fair, isn't ideal when you wear glasses. So
no, it is that is a difficult one.
Sheep, you were talking locks, says Duncan.
Fair enough. I've not heard that one before. That deserved something on your
what do you
smorgasbord there.
You can have crickets,
I've done it for you now.
Hang on. Let me get.
Mine was better.
Yeah. And I've caught up with the questions. So there you go.
Oh, okay.
You can start working. Good on.
So, okay, if they was going to change one rule next year in Speedway, what would it be? I'll put you all on the spot. Go, Matt.
All right, where's that list? Hang on, sir. I'm going to choose first.
Choose a letter. We'll go with B. Yeah.
I would. I mean, the one thing I would like to see, really, I think the majority of people would like to see really is fairness and a level playing field, and because I think over the last few years there's been an element of checkbook speedway. The better clubs are able to get the better riders and get all the better assets on them. How feasible it would be to eradicate that is difficult.
Like a draft, like in America, I think.
That would certainly be a way of creating interest, a draft of some description, wouldn't it?
Well, of course, there was the draft system, wasn't there?
Fast track.
Was it called Rider Control back in the 70s? Which
right.
That wasn't a draft system, though. That was people on a board deciding where people.
No.
Famously, Ollie Olsen refusing.
Right to Hull.
Yeah.
Told him to go to Hull, and he said no. So.
No, you can go to hell.
I'm back.
Yeah. No, I think he just wanted them to go there. So yeah, I mean, that would create interest, some sort of draft system, wouldn't it? Of new riders, new riders coming up.
Yeah.
The only thing again is of course there's always going to be the element of a little bit of self-interest, isn't there? Which is always been the perception that a lot of people have had of Speedway.
I think I've got two things that I would love to change, and the things that I've gone on ad infinitum. I'd like to see a change in the tape rules. If you don't touch the tape, you're not excluded. I don't care if you get a jump. If you've gambled and it's worked, good on you. I think there's a psychology about the gate, and that we don't get like we used to. And I just think if they haven't touched the tapes, they haven't actually, as far as I'm concerned, if you haven't touched the tapes, you haven't done anything wrong. Well,
it always really irritates me when a rider tries to anticipate the start, messes it up, and he's last out the start, and the referee restarts the race.
Yeah,
he's basically giving him another chance to do it. Then he's messed it up. It's his, tough.
If you touch the tapes, you're out. Yeah. If you haven't touched the tapes, let's get on with the race. So many races brought back because the referee has perceived that a rider is moved, and then when you look at it on the replay, you go, well, there was nothing wrong there. That happens time and time again. It's too objective a thing. So you should just get rid of it and say, when the tapes go up, if you've touched the tapes, you're out. If you haven't touched the tapes, you're not. That's it. There's no interpretation, is there, in that?
Yeah, there's a couple of comments here. 1 League North, 1 League South.
I hear this said a lot. I don't know what the reasoning is behind it.
could be a possibility next year if there's restrictions on travel, I suppose.
Travel, yeah.
Well, there is that.
Yeah.
I suppose it's not necessarily going to make the meetings any more exciting, is it?
It means that there are riders that you're never going to get to see,
Yeah.
which I don't like. I think the way I was going to do a sort of north-south divide, but this year, wasn't there? Which would have been interesting to see how that worked. Where from your side of the divide, if you like, you met twice, and then from the other side of the you met just once, or it was something like that, wasn't it?
Like that, yeah.
So that would have been interesting. At least you get to see these, the other riders that you might be hearing about, thinking it'd be interesting to see.
Another good idea. It would be useful if the riders had masks that fitted properly. How many adjustments were made during the interviews from Berwick last week?
Oh, I should watch the F1 then. It's terrible.
Yeah, but it's all to do with time consuming thing. You know what I mean?
Well,
that's another thing I'd like to see change as well. This fixation of opening the pit gates after a rerun and letting riders go back to the pits. And
it should be a penalty.
Really, types,
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you don't have so many tape exclusions, a lot of that goes anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So that would help with that. But yeah, absolutely. If there's a false start, you go around and you start again. You don't.
Yes.
Make
Coventry were always one of the worst culprits.
Oh God. Yeah.
Another one regarding tapes as well. Riders returning to the tapes and not going back to pits after tape infringements is what we talked on that one, didn't we? Yeah. One from Brian. He says, "One man, one team. Until we get back to this, Speedway will have no credibility."
I think he's right, but that's the problem. That's the problem.
I think when it was introduced, it was intention. I think the original intent was only going to be for British riders under 21.
Yeah,
and they were only going to be able to do it for a couple of years. But then I think one club picked an older rider. Then somebody else said, "Well, if they can do it, then I can do it." And then it's just sort of they've let it get out of control, to be honest. And I think now the clubs just simply they aren't able to run now without having at least one or two riders doubling up in other leagues.
And riders feel that they can't make enough money as well without don't have enough meetings.
And it gives there's a temptation really as well for riders to stay in a league too long and just sort of get into a comfort zone and just be happy to bully riders that are.
Originally, of course, it was just doubling up.
Yeah.
And so that was to try and encourage riders to dip their toe into elite league as it was then, and give them a help up because there weren't enough riders making that jump. But then it started becoming doubling down.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And that's really all went wrong. Another rule I'd like to see change, it's perhaps slightly controversial, is the tactical substitute rule, which I much prefer than the black and white thing. I think it should only be available to away sides. It shouldn't be available to the home side. If you're not good enough to win on your own track, you're not good enough to win on your own track. So I think, and then you can say that you can fairly say that rule is to help combat home track advantage, and all of a sudden it doesn't become Mickey Mouse. It's there for a problem.
I'm not too sure about that one, to be honest.
I could see it on your face.
Yeah, it's not always the case that the team's not good enough to win. It may well be that they've had just a ridiculous amount of engine failures or exclusions. So a lot of it is luck as well. That
that's sport, though, isn't it? That's sport.
That's a fair point in this sport. But I don't think I could see some sort of logic in that suggestion. But I don't think it's anything that they would be.
I don't think it's anything that they would, because a promoter wants to win, and if they're losing and they've got a chance of winning through tactical substitute, they will use it. But I much prefer the tactical substitute than the double points.
This one's probably the biggest bugbear.
Okay.
many people. 2 minutes should mean 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Like in Poland, all riders should be ready to race at the start line after 2 minutes, not making the way around to the start with 5 seconds to go, for example.
Oh, well, there's a reason for
guardian
that. There's a reason for that. There is a reason for that, and I do understand, because they stopped the riders from going across the centre green. And the rider said, well, okay, that then will make it longer for us to get to the tapes. So you should change the rules so that if we're on the way to the tapes.
Yeah.
I think they should change. I quite like that rule, as long as you're on the way to the tapes under power, not making practice starts. If you make a practice start, you're Lewis Hamilton and you're chucked out. You know, but so that you go to the tape and don't stop until you get to the tape. Then I'm still happy with that. But it should, 2 minutes should mean 2 minutes. Other than that, and it should be on the centre green. It's a point of interest. We need points of interest.
That's been sometimes before. I mean, when Sky used to do the Elite League, they always had a countdown clock on the centre.
Yeah, but it's one that they took themselves out, wasn't it? There's never one that's always there. It should be there. It should be. How difficult is it to get a flipping clock? You know, it should be there, and it's a point of interest, isn't it? That's the point. It's all about making the sport have something. So you know, it's dead time otherwise. But if you're watching the counter, it gets a little bit. Ooh, is he going to make it?
Yeah.
You know, it's another point of interest. So it should be there.
Yeah. Craig Smith says it'd be nice to bring back the black-white helmet double point tactical.
Disagree. Next.
Yes, I know.
That's
the only. I know I wouldn't want the only thing I would say, if you were going to bring that back, the only thing I see would probably make it more interesting is if you gave that rider a 15-metre handicap, which they did initially. Because I think if you start from 15 metres back and you manage to win the heat, I think you deserve extra points, to be honest. But not for them starting all on the line.
It's Mickey Mouse as far as it's. I can't get my words out. It's a knockout.
Yeah, that's it.
Simon says tactical subs like the old days. 6 down, any rider to take one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and you always knew where the
it's another point of interest as well, isn't it? In the crowd, you're there talking about, I wonder if he'll put a tactical substitute. Oh, why did he put him in there? He should have done. It's a point. It's a point of interest. It's a talk.
You always know where the tactical sub was going to go, though, don't you? Heat 8. That was always where it was going to go. So
yeah. Sometimes you'd have to get one in before because he was too far behind. You know.
Yeah.
And also you used to have the old, people used to put double tactical substitutes in the old days. I don't know whether you can still do that. Probably can't. That was always an interesting one.
Do you like this idea? Do same as Poland and add a point for the aggregate score.
No, they did used to do that here.
We have done that. Yeah, we did used to do that.
Yeah.
But we've gone a different way, haven't we? Which is,
the only thing is, of course, is if you've got a track with a big home track advantage,
that's the problem. Yeah.
I mean, I can remember one absolute classic match race for a bonus point to Peter between Ryan Sullivan and Michael Kelson. You know, and it is on YouTube. It's definitely worth seeing. There's, both riders raced as if it was a world final run off, not a run for an extra point in the league.
Right.
It was absolutely incredible. But.
And a fitting comment to probably our last comment, actually. Duncan Pemberton says, seeing as it's the last show, may I be the first to wish you guys a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Oh, thank you. And same back to you.
We're all, hoping for a Happy New Year, aren't we, to be honest?
Roll on 21.
Yeah.
The clocks going back in the weekend. I wanted to put them back 12
months. Yes.
What, you're a Villa fan, so you wanted them go back to 1984, didn't you?
1984, you got the year wrong, by the way.
Was it 82, was it?
It was 82, yeah.
It was 82, yeah. Well, there you go.
I arrived and it all went downhill after that. So.
In so many ways.
Well, there you go.
We got through
it.
We did, yeah, and fairly easy.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, everybody. It's ridiculous saying that in October, but if we don't see you before, have a great one. This has been the weirdest year of Speedway Tavern in the 11, 12 years we've been doing.
Crazy, yeah.
This has just been.
We do apologise for the intermittency of it. Is that a word?
Well,
they know what I mean. Yeah.
The hit and miss nature of when we're on and when we're not on. It's just been.
I thank you as well to the people that have come on the show.
Yeah. Thanks for sticking with us as well. Yeah.
And and Israel obviously was on a few weeks ago. Scott Nichols was on early in the lockdown, and he was fantastic.
He was brilliant.
Yeah. We've had some good guests.
Harry Bishop as well was very, very good. So yeah, we've got some good people on this year. So thank you to them.
Yeah, and all I got to say is good luck to everybody. Stay safe.
Stay safe. Stay well.
Stay well, and you will see it. We'll see you in the next show, probably next year, and
let's hope we see you all on the terraces if we can in 2021.
Or most of you, anyway.
Yeah.
There are some that. You take care, everyone, and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Here's to a COVID-free future. Take care, everyone.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Speedway Tavern.
McCullough for England on the outside. And from the inside it is Bobby Schwartz, and Nilsson has got up as well, and that's a surprise, and Morton must try the outside run. So it is Sweden in front, then Schwartz. Third place now is Olsen, and it's Chris Morton at the back, and again this isn't good news as Schwartz goes bursting in the inside of Nilsson.